guys, of course, Rhode and Rare Beauty are doing a brand trip at the same time, and they sort of have the same theme, and people are picking up on it. They're both going in a snow club, ski club type of vibe. They both got their individual branded s'mores, both looking like very amazing, beautiful trips. Rare Beauty is in upstate New York. Rhode is doing their trip in Montana.
Selena Gomez has always been competitive when it comes to public perception, especially when popularity and influence are involved, which is exactly why fans are once again dragging her into drama with Hailey Bieber. And this time, it's not about relationships or old history, it's about business, branding, and who really runs the beauty space. Fans online are accusing Selena Gomez of copying Hailey Bieber's brand trip, even though Selena has been hosting Rare Beauty brand trips for years now. That detail alone has people arguing non-stop because Rare Beauty trips didn't just pop up yesterday, they've been happening consistently and quietly since 2021. So let's get into what actually happened. Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber are back at odds in the public eye, but this time Justin isn't part of the conversation at all. The tension is centered on their beauty brands, Rare Beauty and Rhode, which both hosted influencer brand trips over the exact same weekend. The timing immediately caught attention, and fans noticed that the trips looked similar enough to spark side-by-side comparisons everywhere online. For anyone who doesn't know, a brand trip is a calculated marketing move where beauty brands fly influencers to a destination, set up curated experiences, and let social media do the heavy lifting. It's not random and it's not cheap, which is why people found it strange that two competing brands would run such similar trips at the same time. That's where the brand trip war narrative came from. People started arguing over who did it first, who inspired who, and whether one brand was trying to steal the spotlight from the other. A lot of fans immediately defended Selena, pointing out that Rare Beauty has been doing this exact strategy for years and already built a reputation around it. But others weren't buying that narrative so easily. Some fans pointed out that Hailey's brand has always leaned into a colder, cleaner aesthetic. Rhode's vibe is minimal, neutral, and very controlled, almost giving off high-fashion, Kardashian-style energy. To them, the trip looked exactly like what Rhode would do, not a copy of anything Selena created. Then the pushback started rolling in hard. Several people jumped into the conversation saying both brands would have had to plan these trips months in advance, meaning neither one could have copied the other last minute. One person even said, "Not true, both brands planned this way ahead of time, stop putting women against women," and that comment alone sparked another wave of debate. And while some fans tried to shut the feud down, others kept digging deeper into timelines, visuals, influencer lists, and branding choices, treating it like a full investigation rather than a coincidence. The internet didn't just compare the trips, they dissected every detail. What's wild is how this situation keeps shape-shifting into different eras every time you blink. At first, it was all about Justin. And honestly, it always circles back to Justin in some way. But now, that chapter feels replaced by something way more strategic, a full-on beauty brand rivalry that's playing out in public. And it's hard not to think back to that moment when Hailey was asked about other beauty brands and casually said she isn't inspired by any of them. No names mentioned, no shade thrown directly, but the message was loud.
We should all play a game where we guess how many people were fired across Rare Beauty and Rhode at their headquarters when they found out that the trips had the same theme and were planned at the same time. To be a fly on the wall in both of those rooms when people found that out. Not even back-to-back weekends on some Stagecoach and Coachella shit. They should have just combined them. Rode. That actually would be so good if they just combined them. Battle of the dewy cheek. And mind you, I'm sitting here invited to neither on neither PR list. And mind you, neither Selena or Hailey care. They're both snowing money, right?
Then almost like clockwork, Selena Gomez responded in her own way, even though no one asked her at all. She made it very clear that she's inspired by all kinds of brands across the board, which felt intentional whether people want to admit it or not. That alone showed there's competition here, even if neither side wants to say it out loud. This isn't just personal, it's business. When you're talking about massive players like Ulta and Sephora, billion-dollar deals, and Rhode being valued at insane numbers, the stakes are high. These aren't hobby brands, these are global businesses with very recognizable faces attached to them, and that makes everything feel way more intense in the public eye. That's why people can't stop talking about how similar these trips look. They aren't even in the same location, but visually the vibes overlap enough that fans immediately started picking sides.
Imagine you're sitting at home and your manager calls you. Hey Queen, you've been invited to a road brand trip and a Rare Beauty brand trip. Which brand trip are you going on? Personally, I think I would be a little bit more of a road girl, but like skate trips at the same time, similar events at the same time. Like, what are you picking? What are you picking? Also, might I say, it's obviously just a coincidence because clearly the weather in these ski locations are the best at this time of the year.
So the question online became simple but messy. Who copied who? At first glance, a lot of people said Selena's trip looked more fun. It felt relaxed, playful, like the influencers were actually enjoying themselves instead of clocking in. Meanwhile, people joked that Hailey had her attendees working non-stop, posing, shooting content, and barely breathing. Some even pointed out that it didn't look like they met Hailey at all. The comments started piling up fast. One person wrote, "I would go to Road. Honestly, Rare has been doing this trip since 2 years ago, way before Rhodes." Another person doubled down saying, "Rare's been doing this trip, and if you look at Rare, the influencers are having fun and doing activities." Then someone else jumped in with, "Rhodes influencers are just focusing on taking pictures." But not everyone was Team Rare. Another comment said, "Rhodes' trip looks cleaner from a branding perspective." Someone else added, "Rhodes looks so chic and Rare's looks like it's too much." And then came another twist when a user claimed, "Row announced their trip since last year, one tao." That's when people really started questioning timelines. Selena and her team never tease brand trips ahead of time, they just drop them. Meanwhile, Rhode has been teasing this trip for the past 2 months straight, which only made the copying debate even louder. Some fans are straight up convinced there's a snitch somewhere inside Rhodes' camp. The theory going around is that someone keeps leaking Rhodes' plans to Selena's team, which then gives Rare Beauty time to roll out their own moves before Rhode even goes public. And once that happens, boom, Selena's fans flood the internet saying Rhode copied Rare, even if the timelines aren't that simple. That rumor alone has taken on a life of its own. What really has people curious now is which influencers were invited to each trip and how awkward that decision must have been. Choosing between a Rare Beauty trip and a road trip isn't small, that's a career move. Influencers definitely keep track of who they show up for because brands remember that stuff. Saying no to one of these trips isn't normal unless you're saying yes to a direct competitor, and that's where things get messy. One person commented that the Rare Beauty trip looked insanely luxurious. Another person questioned whether Hailey and Selena intentionally timed these trips to overlap, just to dominate the conversation. Because let's be honest, everyone is talking about it. Then came the aesthetic debates. Some people said the road trip stayed true to its clean, minimal branding, while the Rare trip didn't match its usual image at all. Others flipped that argument completely and said Rare looked more alive, more fun, more human. Another theory popped up saying both brands probably pulled inspiration from the same trend cycle anyway. Influencer trips have been evolving fast, and Rare has been hosting versions of this every year since 2022, which made some fans say Rhode was clearly following that blueprint. Still, others weren't convinced. A few people even joked that a Rhode and Rare collaboration would make ridiculous money purely off the gossip alone. The drama would sell itself. But at the same time, that idea sounds wild when you remember how personal these brands are. These brands aren't just companies, they're extensions of real people. Rare depends on Selena's image, Rhode depends on Hailey's image, and both of those images are forever linked through Justin. That connection alone makes any overlap feel charged. The idea of Justin's long-term ex and his wife collaborating sounds messy no matter how you slice it, and then things got even more personal. Someone joked about being stuck at a ski resort with both camps and having to choose who they'd rather hang with. The comparison spiraled fast. Selena skiing with Benny didn't really click for some people, while others could easily picture Hailey taking it slow, steady, and controlled on the slopes. Justin, though, everyone agreed he'd just fly straight down without waiting for anyone. And that mental image alone had people laughing while still side-eyeing the whole situation. Justin would absolutely fly straight down the mountain without even checking if anyone else was okay, and honestly, that tracks. He wouldn't slow down, wouldn't look back, and that's just who he is. But when it comes to Selena and Benny, people are side-eyeing that whole picture. A lot of fans straight up said they can't imagine them casually posted at a ski resort, hanging out, laughing, and blending in with that scene. Then the comments section took a sharp turn. One person went in hard and said Selena is so unoriginal, and that she allegedly instructs her brand marketing team to copy whatever Rhode does just to save money. They claim she knows exactly what she's doing and that everything is 100% intentional. According to them, Rhode announced their trip first, Hailey had been teasing it for a while, and then suddenly Selena and Rare popped up with something that felt way too close for comfort. That's where emotions really started flaring up. Some fans said, "Oh, let's just copy," mocking the situation, while others said they've seen non-stop comments claiming Rhode copied Rare, and that narrative made them furious. One person straight up said it made them want to scream because the timeline didn't support that story at all. Another comment added, "Good thing Rare posted theirs first," but then immediately admitted they checked Instagram dates and noticed Rhode announced their trip on January 20th, while Rare only posted theirs 2 days ago. That detail alone sent people spiraling in both directions. Then someone asked a very fair question. They said, "I'm not trying to be mean, but why do beauty brands even host these trips?" And the answer is simple. It's for influencers to post, market products, and create content that feels organic instead of like a straight up ad. That's the whole strategy. But what caught attention is that Rhode also has a pop-up experience that regular people can actually visit, which is rare for these kinds of launches. Usually brand trips are super exclusive, invite only, and locked behind influencer status. This pop-up is more like a small shop, not the full luxury experience influencers get, but fans can still go in and buy products like the caffeine reset and peptide lip treatments. Some people even shouted out the Rhode girlies in the comments. At the same time, others warned people to be careful using the products too often. Hailey's brand is known for loving active ingredients, and overdoing that kind of stuff can leave skin feeling puffy, irritated, and overwhelmed. A few commenters said you really have to watch how much you layer because too many actives can mess up your skin barrier fast. So now the discourse is fully split. Some people keep pointing out that Selena has been doing these trips since 2021, meaning she couldn't have copied something that already existed in her brand playbook. Others argue that while she didn't copy the concept, she may have been inspired by Rhode's aesthetic and the way they tease the experience ahead of time. And that's where the debate refuses to die down. One person sarcastically wrote that Selena Gomez apparently invented everything. They joked that even her fans act like she invented whisper singing, so of course people are now saying she invented brand trips too. They even added, "There is no way they're saying a brand trip is copying LMAO," and admitted they didn't even know Rare had been doing brand trips before this. What makes this whole thing even funnier is how none of the side picking actually goes back to the products themselves. People aren't debating formulas, results, or how the makeup performs at all. Instead, it just proves how powerful it is to be the face of your brand. Someone commented, "Rhode all the way. We support girls, not bullies," which immediately turned the conversation into a personality debate instead of a beauty one. Another person wrote, "Rhode is for unbothered and mentally stable girls," and that comment alone sparked chaos. Right after that, someone else added that Rare gives off a brand that cares energy, while Rhode is more about aesthetic. Then another person said they admire self-made success more than nepotism-led success, which dragged Hailey's background into the discussion without even mentioning products once. And that's the pattern everywhere. Nobody is talking about coverage, wear time, or skin reactions. It's all about identity, being a girl's girl, mental stability, and whether success was earned or inherited. Hailey being born into the industry through her family keeps coming up, and people clearly have opinions about that. After all that arguing, some fans tried to shift the focus to the actual trip experiences. A lot of people said Selena Gomez's trip looked way better. They pointed out the small village-style cottages where influencers stayed, making it feel intimate and cozy instead of stiff and corporate. On top of that, influencers actually got to meet Selena in person, which surprised a lot of people since Hailey reportedly wasn't present at her own trip. People were stunned by that detail. Someone commented, "Road could never, they didn't even meet Hailey," and others said they heard the road trip quietly turned into a meet and greet situation without influencers knowing beforehand. That rumor rubbed some people the wrong way, even though others still insisted Road's trip looked cleaner and more controlled. Another person laughed and wrote, "Cottages to yourselves, she is generous," clearly impressed by the setup. Someone else even shouted out the cottages specifically, saying that detail alone made the rare trip feel warmer and more personal. And once again, the debate wasn't slowing down at all. From what people gathered, it looks like Hailey had her guests staying at a hotel, which honestly is not a problem at all. As long as nobody's being crammed into bunk beds, we're fine. But before diving deeper into Road's trip, it's worth circling back and really laying out what Selena Gomez's rare beauty trip actually looked and felt like. Now that you've seen the rare setup, the cottages, the activities, and the overall vibe, it's also interesting to look at influencers who had to make a very real choice. Some influencers clearly picked Hailey over Selena, and that alone says a lot about brand alignment and long-term relationships. The comments stayed loud. One person wrote that Rare's trip looked way more luxurious than Road's. Another said, "I love the cabins way more. This trip feels like a fancy wellness retreat." While someone else described Rare as feeling like a trip with close friends. And yes, everyone stayed obsessed with the cabins. People kept saying Rare was better because of the cabins, so shout out to the cabins one last time. Honestly, who doesn't love a good cabin? Now here are a few more looks at what the Road Beauty trip had going on. Clean visuals, controlled content, polished shots, and a very clear aesthetic direction. And since none of this drama is actually about the products, let's finally talk products. One reviewer gave what felt like a genuinely unbiased comparison between Road and Rare. They said the Road lip tint was noticeably more pigmented, which is great if you want visible color with minimal effort. At the same time, Rare Beauty's glossy lip balm felt softer and more cushiony on the lips, giving that smooth, comforting feel. That's the kind of detail people actually care about. They added that if you want simplicity and color payoff, Road wins that round. But if you're looking for shine and a more gloss-like feel, Rare might be your pick. When it came to moisturizers, they said Road's felt basic, while Rare's felt more hydrating, especially in winter weather. And honestly, a good moisturizer can change everything. They mentioned after a full month of testing both brands, it wasn't about choosing one over the other. Each brand has strengths, and it really depends on what you're reaching for that day. And that might be the most peaceful takeaway of all. Now I want to hear from you. Did you enjoy this breakdown? Which trip would you rather be invited to, and which brand do you actually use? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it so we can keep these conversations going. And I'll see you on the next one.